Kuru something wrong. Is that for being color coordinated? Sometimes you get lucky. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday program. I hope you like the early morning. Well, it's not early, but it takes a little momentum to change schedule, doesn't it? So everyone is on a schedule, and there's a trajectory we all have. So it takes a little readjustment, but it's nice to be together at various intervals for continuing the process of Krishna consciousness together. We noticed it recently, well, at least going way back to Kartik season, which was in October, November, we had met in Vrindavan. And there, of course, we are stationed generally at Govardhan Hill during that time. And we took 5 days during Kartik to join up with a party that had come from the UK. And we stayed in Vrindavan for 5 days and then went to various special holy places there. One of them was at the Radha Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan. It's an iconic architectural feature of Vrindavan. You'll see it in many of the pictures along the bank of the Jamuna. It's a very beautiful spire-like temple, and it's made out of red sandstone, which lasts for hundreds of years. And we had gone there with a group of maybe 40 or 50, and the sun was just coming up, and we found a patio-like area near the deities, and we had some kirtan and talked about Radha Madan Mohan. And you have to be there, don't you? At certain places to actually take in everything that's happening. For instance, the sun coming up, the monkeys walking precariously behind us, some devotees in anxiety that they don't jump down on us. And meanwhile, we're chanting and we realize that we're free to chant there in the Dham, and the vibration of the holy name and then the enthusiasm of all the devotees together form a composite, an experience that one has that one doesn't forget. And throughout our lives, this practice of bhakti yoga means taking opportunities, hopefully on a daily basis, to come together to have this kind of experience, a peak spiritual experience, perhaps we could call it. And these experiences I like to call inspirational sadhana. Sadhana really means practice. You're going for a goal. You have a sense that there's an ultimate goal of life. We need that for force deficiency. Otherwise, there's so many other distractions we can get lost in the weeds, right? The weeds of life, meaning not necessarily that they're all bad or they're all weeds, but that there are many details that we have to take care of, and they seem to branch out and become unlimited. We solve one, and then there's 3 more questions to answer after you do that, right? So it's helpful to have a higher destination, something to hold on to that we're raising ourselves towards. And that in the practice of Krishna consciousness means to be aware of the fact that we really aren't part of this world. That's very helpful. And in the sense that we're spiritual beings, we're incompatible with material energy, good to know, and explains a lot. And also that we have way more potential than we know. And we hear this in psychological fields. Oh, you only use 2% of your brain power. It's like, how do I get the rest? And we also hear it in terms of spirituality, that we actually are way more powerful than we think. When I identify with the material body, I tend to drag myself into a state of consciousness that is darker and less capable of its full potential. Just kind of circular reasoning. But the point is that we can rise above the situation that we're in now. In fact, we're meant to. And that's the purpose of this center, is to give everyone an opportunity to have a peak experience in devotional service. All you need is one. In fact, we find this throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, that there are various people who seem lost and disconcerted, disillusioned about their lives, and then they come in contact with somebody who's spiritually advanced, and they have a peak experience. And they realize, oh, I have a lot more potential than I thought. It creates a sense of optimism about life, that even though I right now may feel a little waylaid towards the goal, I still know that it's possible. And the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are extremely encouraging. They're always telling us that no matter what situation you're in now, you can improve yourself, and you will. In fact, there's sections in the Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavatam in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that say that even if you try one time and fail, that'll be recorded and that'll be counted on your permanent record. Records sometimes can be a little daunting, right? You come in and somebody starts looking at your record, it's like, Now, wait a minute, how far back are you going? And it goes, according to the record of karma in the material world, it goes back way farther than we know. In fact, even in this lifetime, I had an experience in 1974. I was arrested for, I was a devotee, and I was a good kid when growing up, pretty much. But I came into the Krishna conscious movement, and my father noted right away, it's like, you were a good kid, why do you keep getting arrested? So we're part of a kind of a spiritual revolutionary movement, and not everybody gets that. Anyway, I was arrested in Chicago for something I didn't do. Anyway, I won't go into the details, but what happened was later on, when we were applying for global entry, I got tired of landing at SFO and then seeing another line for 2 hours that you had to wait in, and not much oxygen in the room either. And then somebody, a fellow traveler, said, "What are you doing? How come you don't have global entry?" I said, "What's that?" And they said, "You go and you register. They can look into your past. They can find out who you are, what you've done, where you've been, and so forth. And then they'll give you an easier path through the line." And so we did that at Niagara Falls. That's because we were also simultaneously getting entry into Canada, the same type of thing. I forget what it's called. But we went from the Canadian side to the American side, back and forth, to take all the tests, have our eyes photographed, that kind of thing, that kind of detail. By the way, the Canadians were much nicer, by a long shot. Happy to say I'm half Canadian. So we came to the end of the process, lots of paperwork, lots of tests to take, fingerprints, eyeballs, all that stuff, irises. And then they called me separately into a little room and said, "Have you ever been arrested?" And all I could say was, "Probably." And they said, "You'll have to be more specific, sir." And I said, "Chicago?" And they said, "Yep." Somehow or other, although it was a crazy, wild incident, and I'll bet anybody in this room can say, I've had a crazy, wild incident in my life that was beyond my control, I hope. Because I've had many. And they said, yeah, somehow or other, it's still stuck on your record. You have to get rid of it. Interestingly, the Chicago Police Department still had it in a file, and it wasn't a big deal because it was already supposedly it had been adjudicated, but there was a technical thing. They hadn't removed it. So they did that, and then they gave us our global entry. The result of that was, though, it heightened my awareness that I don't know what I've done in this world. I don't know where I've been. I have no idea. Krishna says that in the Gita. In the 15th chapter, he mentions that, you're really unaware of where you came from. Don't think that you haven't been a lot of places and done a lot of things that you're unaware of. And there's a reaction for that. And we can't be fully aware of that. So don't just blithely go through life and not try to rectify whatever situation you're in. We need some kind of refinement, and we need to deal with whatever kinds of sticky situations we've been in this life or previous lives and so forth. So Krishna consciousness also is so powerful. And getting back to my point, and that is that if somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, even temporarily, says Narada Muni, that if you just do this a little bit, tyaktva sadharmam sharanam bhujam harer, you drop what you're doing for a minute, he's like, I'm doing this, I'm going into Krishna consciousness. That's such a powerful statement that you tried for it, that even if you're not able to keep up that same momentum from the early surge that you had, it'll be counted on your record that you did that, you went for it, and that will also, when they look at your record, it's like, oh no, you went for it, so you're with us. You get counted on the side that, you tried for this. And Prabhupada says in a essay that he wrote, it's the preface to the Upadeshamrita, that if you tried even a little bit, then you give up. He said, eventually you'll be forcibly dragged. It's like, no, we already got that guy. He's with us. Bring him along somehow or other. So it's very encouraging. That's my point. The prospect that we have, human life, very open field for us to do whatever we want. We shouldn't be too much absorbed in trying to fix everything in this world, because it's not really fixable. You can't fix the geopolitical situation. You can't fix, you should keep good health, but you can't live forever. That's a kind of an idea in the back of my mind that, okay, yeah, if I can beat the system like Hiranyakashipu. So somehow or other, I'll beat the system nobody else has. So best thing is to have a spiritual thrust to one's life and try for it. So our center is meant to provide this kind of encouragement to anyone who has this feeling in his or her heart that, no, I want to use my potential. It's like, here you can. Here all the talks are about, yes, give yourself full potential to do it as fully as you can at this point, and there's nothing to stop you doing it as much as you desire to. And those who have had that experience of saying, like, I'm going to really go for this, will notice that they get facility, both from within and from without. And that's one of the pleasing results of deciding to do the right thing in life. So welcome everybody to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We are, this whole organization was started by our founder, and Acharya, who means the one who teaches by example. He also taught by writing many books. In 1966, it was incorporated, and then he went about spreading it all over the world so that everyone would have a chance to walk in and experience what we call Krishna consciousness, which is recognizing that there is an original divine source, and it's personal, or he's personal, and we have a relationship with that person. And that's the simplicity of the process, that there's only one part really, and that is yena tena prakarina manat Krishna niveshayat. Don't worry about all the other rules and regulations. They're not so important as the one rule, which is two rules. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. That's A-R-K. Ark. Say ark. Don't say it 3 times though. All right, go ahead. Yeah, it sounds like seals or something. And then NFK, never forget Krishna. Always remember. You can't pronounce that one, I'm sorry. It's all consonants. You've got to buy a vowel somewhere. So these are the two main rules, and anybody can do it. Nobody can stop you, even if you're waylaid by your current situation physically. You're going through something, everybody is. You can still think of Krishna, and there are ways to do that. So we'll talk a little bit today in the next section about how to do that. So there's a couple practical points. One is tomorrow is the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna is the source of all of us. We are parts of Krishna just as much as my fingers are part of the hand and the hand's part of the body. We're part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, there only is Krishna, but there are varieties within Krishna. He's a multifaceted personality, and we're part of him. And as such, we have the same qualities as Krishna. He has the qualities of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternality, blissfulness, and full knowledge. And so we have that, but only in minute quantity, because there's a difference between the drop and the entire ocean, not in quality, but in quantity. So, as parts and parcels of Krishna, we have a part to play, and that part is devotional service. It means serving the whole, just like my hand serves my whole body. And when it does it, then it's naturally happy. It's doing its part. It's important. And so when we do that, serving the whole, serving Krishna, then we feel naturally happy. If we try to enjoy independently, like if with my hand I tried to eat a banana, just the hand, everyone would say, hey, wait a minute, I think you're doing it wrong. And that's basically Bhagavad Gita saying, excuse me, a little further to the left. Maybe you can get a little traction on this. So tomorrow is the appearance of Krishna in a very special form, a golden form, as you'll hear from a custom song we have coming up in just a couple of minutes, written by one of our singers. We have several artists and singers in our group here. And one of them, Ekachakra Pran Prabhu, comes from a family of musicians. His father is a professional musician, and he joined Krishna consciousness, and he has a creative side to him. So he's going to sing a song in a few minutes about the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so Krishna is the Supreme, and he appears at different times and places, especially to give people an opportunity to do what we're doing now, just to get together and have someone to remember and think about, and a few simple principles to apply in one's life so that you can attain full potential. That's why Krishna comes. So in the current age in which we live, which is called Kali, there's a particular process that is helpful in advancing spiritually. And it's nice to know, because there's a lot of advice we get from various quarters, and if you settle on one track and you focus your mind then on that, you're likely to make rapid advancement rather than trying to do many things at the same time. So Krishna comes in Kali Yuga in a golden form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his deity is on the altar on the left of Radha and Krishna, or Shishi Radha Madan Mohan. And actually, Krishna comes for several reasons. One is because he wants to teach the specific process for spiritual advancement in the age of Kali. So that's something that happens on a scheduled measurement. But he comes for another reason in this particular Kali Yuga, and that is to experience what his devotees experience in the spiritual world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he comes as his own devotee. And the reason that he's golden is because in the spiritual world, the main focus is the supreme deity of Radha and Krishna. So God's one, but he expands himself into many. Eko Bahu Sham, says the Vedas, for his own enjoyment. And therefore, there's this deity that we worship called Radha and Krishna. So Radha and Krishna are one, but they're divided for their own enjoyment. And they have this eternal enjoying relationship or pleasurable relationship, which is ever-increasing happiness. And when Krishna decides to come in Kali Yuga as Lord Chaitanya, Radha and Krishna become one again. So Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna in the same body. And it's known, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. This is a verse about Srimati Radharani. She's golden in color. So when Krishna comes, he's usually blackish. In fact, Krishna means black. And when he comes as Radha and Krishna combined, then he's golden. He has a golden hue. Suvarna varna he mango varnangashanshanangadi sanyasya krishma shanto nishcha shanti purayana. Everyone from South India knows that verse because it's from the Vishnu Sahasranam Stotram, right? Takes you back to your childhood. So he's a golden color. He's called the golden avatar, and he appears to give benediction. So when God comes, his idea is to give benediction to everybody. And some of the devotees are waiting for benedictions because they've decided to do the right thing, and they've positioned themselves in such a way to take full advantage of anything Krishna says, so they're just waiting, what do you want me to do? So in Kali Yuga, Krishna comes and he says, okay, keep doing it, and here's specifically how you can do it in the best possible way. And he teaches a process for complete perfection in spiritual life, and it's the chanting of God's names. This is called Sankirtan. And on the other side, those who haven't come up to, have not evolved into a position in which they have a spiritual desire in life, he tries to encourage them also by bringing them along, by showing them aspects of the spiritual world that are very joyful, and they're a much better idea than the drudgery of the material world. Like chanting, dancing, and feasting. How do those three words together strike you? Doesn't sound too bad, right? First time I heard about it was in a Back to Godhead magazine that I had received while sitting in my suburban home in Lafayette, California, in my own little room that I had finally achieved after my older brother and sister moved away. And there was my own room. And I was sitting in there doing my best to imitate yogis, meditating, and my friend Richie Corsa brought me a Back to Godhead magazine, and I had gleaned from other books that spiritual life meant to perform severe austerities, of which I was doing my best by eclectically taking up practices like not wearing shoes and letting my hair get matted, and also not looking in mirrors. I had a vow not to look at a clock, and also not to ride in cars, and not to talk to too many people either, including my friends. So when Richie came, he left the magazine for me. I came out, I looked at it. Oh, and the eating part, that's what I was getting to. I was eating so little that I got very skinny, and my mother was, of course, concerned. So then I read in the magazine that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught about chanting, dancing, and feasting. And it's like, if that's true, I think I'm going to reverse course on this one. And it was true. I went to the temple in San Francisco. It's on Valencia Street. That temple burned down, but one of the walls is still there. After we moved out of that temple, it got turned into another structure after most of it burned. And then, one of the foundational walls is still there. I can show it to you sometime if you want to go down there. And I saw that there were quite a few items available, like the papadum interested me. It was flat bread, very crunchy, and at that time they would fry them in ghee. And then there was samosa, and Hope you had a breakfast today. And the sweet rice. The sweet rice used to be served very cold because we read in the Nectar Devotion, the devotees read that the sweet rice, the colder it is, the better. So there was actually like little icebergs in there. And it would be served out icy cold. There was also a drink, and I forget the name of it, Nirkula might remember, but it was made of buttermilk, strawberries, orange juice, and sugar. And what was that called? It had a name. Orange Blossom. Huh? No. Anyway, it had another name for it. We used to make stuff up. So there was that, and subjis, different kinds of subjis, and it was stuff I'd never seen before. It was an explosion of tastes, and what to speak of the colors and the dancing in the temple room. I was trained to sit like a yogi and meditate, and even during the class, I was noticing a few people and thinking, like, they're not sitting straight. They must not be very serious. But then when everyone started dancing, I thought, well, this is a whole different thing here. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this process of chanting, dancing, feasting, and he introduced it to people and said, yes, you can do the kinds of things that you love to do, which is get together with people and have this joyful experience where you're singing, but just sing about the spiritual world. Don't try to enjoy the lower modalities, which are of which the material world is made. Rise above that and do what you know how to do, what you gravitate towards anyway, but do it in relationship to the pure, all good spiritual world. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, and that's the simple process that our founder Acharya spread all over the world, the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So tomorrow is the day that we celebrate the appearance of this, what we call golden avatar of Krishna, who came to show us in person how to perform devotional service. And the verse in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita says that he appeared on the horizon of Gauda along with his first expansion, Balaram, who came in the form of Nityananda. And it's as if the sun and the moon arose simultaneously. And what was the purpose? To distribute this process that anybody could take up in the Kali Yuga. And he asked later on, after he appeared, everyone could help spread this all over the world. Make that your main employment, he said, and you'll be happy. So now we're going to have a song about the Golden Avatar. Now we have a little orientation by Ekachakra Pran Prabhu. Let's give him a little encouragement. Do you need this mic?
Thank you.
Someone help.
Maybe raise it a little bit. Good morning, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. Before I found the devotees and the process of Krishna consciousness, I was a singer, songwriter, and musician living in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I met my first mentor, Gayatri Das, who taught me everything about Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, and encouraged me on this journey. But he also encouraged me to continue writing songs and singing for Krishna. So this one goes out to Gayatri Das. I wrote this song called Eclipse over Navadweep, about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. We saw the sun go behind the moon, amazing color, a silent tune. The sky went dark, For a moment or two, the holy names resounded to welcome you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Eclipse over Navadvip. Eclipse over Navadvip. And through the clouds of white, we could see a golden light. Oh, such a glorious sight. And ever since that day, we could feel your energy in a whole new way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Eclipse over Navadvip. Eclipse over Navadvip. You heard it, Vedas call to save the human race. Now all I can think about is your lotus face. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vande Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodutao. Gaudodaye Pushpavantao Chitrao Shandao Tamonudao. Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda, they rose together like the moon and sun, dispelling darkness in this age of Kali, bestowing mercy on everyone. Everybody, sing it. Eclipse over Navadvip. Eclipse over Navadvip. much, everyone. And I do have a new book I just published about my journey into Krishna consciousness, traveling around the world at Kirtan festivals. If you'd like it, come see me afterwards. I have a few copies you can have for any donation, and it's available also on Amazon. It's called Krishna Conscious Adventures. Thank you very much.
I especially liked in the song being reminded of the eclipse over Navadvip, because this is what was going on at the time that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And eclipse is more than a curiosity in the Vedic culture. It's considered a time when you have to do something to counteract the malefic effect of the eclipse. Astrologically, eclipses are said to be harbingers of various disasters that are to come. And typically during an eclipse, people will go to a place where they can stay in a pure state. And one of the places people go in Bengal, especially Navadvip, which is literally the 9 islands. It's divided up by rivers, mostly the Ganges. And so people would go into the water of the Ganges at the time of an eclipse, and they would chant the names of God. And even though there was a considerable Muslim population there at the time, due to the history of India and the way that the various cultures converged upon the subcontinent of India, there's a way in which so many people were chanting Hari Hari and Hare Krishna during that time that even the people who weren't accustomed to doing so took it up, because they got carried away by the enthusiasm of everybody else. Everyone was saying Hari Hari, Hare Krishna. And this was the first indication of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Golden Avatar, introducing the ways that people would become perfect in spiritual life in this age. That's, I'll use the word again, he induced everyone to chant by coming at a time when everyone would naturally be chanting anyway. It's also mentioned that when he was a little golden baby, that he would cry and cry, as some babies do, and then his mother and other mothers from the village, because other women would come and act as mothers. So many of them came to see the beauty of the child. And they found out early on that if they just chanted Hare Krishna, then he would stop crying. And that was the next way in which he induced people to chant Hare Krishna. And then later on, he went to, as he grew up and he took he took monkhood, he became a sannyasi, and then he traveled widely, especially in South India, and he'd go village to village and teach people to chant Hare Krishna as a mainstay of their spiritual practice. So that was the beginning of the Krishna consciousness movement that's then appeared later on through the various students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who then became teachers for others, and each one teach one. It got passed down all the way to the present age and is preserved through what's called a disciplic succession. Those who have been taught, then they become teachers for others in a humble way, in a way of representing what they've learned so that other people can take up the process. So thank you very much, Eka for bringing that beautiful vibration to the inauguration of our weekend-long, 2-day-long celebration of Gaura Purnima. Hare Krishna. Another significant way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings, his life and teachings have been brought to the world is through a very important literature called the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and his teachings were recorded meticulously by several of his very close associates. These were all in what are called kadachas, or diaries. And each one of them covered a significant portion of his life. And later on, these were gathered together, and there was a very scholarly person in Vrindavan. He had moved to Vrindavan to practice spiritual life exclusively. And the devotees who were in Vrindavan, who knew about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for posterity, wanted somebody to write down all of his teachings. It had been done already by Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is a recipient of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. He was he had written the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and there was a call for a little more development of the topic, to bring out some of the later teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that there was an expansive knowledge available to everybody, and there would be an expansive knowledge available to everybody. And this author's name was Krishnadas Kaviraj. Kaviraj means he was a great writer, a great poet. A Kavi is a great thinker, great writer, great poet. Everybody knew it. One seemingly limiting aspect of him taking up the writing of this book was that he was elderly. And you'll find in the book itself that he mentions that he's not even sure how he's continuing writing. Said that his eyes had become so dilapidated that someone had to hold them open so he could see. And he said he was shaking. He could barely walk because he had become so old. Yet he said, I continue to write. And he said it's a kind of a miracle. It reminds me a little bit of our founder Acharya's journey in spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. He actually started when he was 70 years old and came to America at that time. I don't see anybody here who's close to 70 unless I look in a mirror. And however, it's not a time when a lot of people are thinking about flying around the world. And he did fly, circle the globe 14 times at least. He opened 108 centers like this one internationally. And he also published 80 books within from the time he arrived, which was 1965, to the time he left, which is 1977. How many years is that? So 80 books in 12 years, what do you think? Meanwhile, he wrote over 5,000 letters to disciples. There was no internet. Don't freak out. There was just letters. And so he wrote by typewriter with 2 fingers, wrote over 5,000 letters. And all this he accomplished within 12 years. So these seemingly miraculous accomplishments by these great teachers of Bhakti Yoga, like Kaviraj Goswami, are legion, actually. We find them through that people who hook into the power of Krishna and say that I'll just be your instrument. They seem to do superhuman things. So Kaviraj Goswami was like that. And all the devotees in Vrindavan, and if you haven't been to Vrindavan, I do recommend that you go there and spend a little time, at least a few days, to feel the atmosphere there. But he lived there, and then what is the prerogative of somebody to write? It's that they're asked to do it, and they're inspired, and they take permission generally before they write. There's this sense in writing these spiritual literatures that we have. Now, our founder Acharya was specifically asked by his teacher, his guru, that he should write and publish books and make them available to people, especially in the West. That was the idea. And Kaviraj Goswami was asked by all the great devotees in Vrindavan to write about the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings. But then he went to take permission from the deity. So you'll find this, that before doing anything, the devotees will go and ask the deity, do you want me to do this? Should I do it? So this is something that we can all do, and to ask Krishna for permission to do things or empowerment to do things. It's very helpful, because one of the ways in which we become waylaid in the material world is we try to do things independently. And when we do that, it's on us. But when we get some service and we're asked to do it by Krishna through his line of representatives, and say, no, you should do this. It's the right thing to do, and please do it. And then you double check and you go, Krishna, I've been asked by all your devotees, should I do this? And so Kaviraj Goswami had gone to visit Shri Radha Govinda in Vrindavan. And when he went there, a garland from the deity fell at that particular time. And everyone that was there cheered, and they say, yeah, Krishna said yes. So Kaviraj Goswami took up this task of writing this book. Now, it's a little different from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. The Chaitanya Bhagavat is all Bengali. Ami Bangala Boli. And Amar Mali Khub Lamba. I learned that from a tape. So, my gardener is very tall. So one thing you'll notice from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is there are many verses in Sanskrit. And these Sanskrit verses are mostly from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. There's also a few other famous literatures, Vedic literatures that are written in Sanskrit that he quotes. Now he'll also paraphrase what's being said in the Sanskrit verses in Bengali. You'll notice this as you go through. So the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is sometimes considered to be a garland of the most important verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like these garlands are created by very advanced devotees who live here, and they come together and they just want to please Krishna, so they'll spend up to 8-10 hours in a day contemplating which garlands to make, which colors to use. They have to procure the flowers and everything. They make the garlands, and then these are meant as an offering of love to Krishna. And then afterwards, we get what's called the prasadam. And we have a verse, Tvayo pabukta shraganda vasalankara charchita jishta bojino dases tavamayam jaimahi, which is spoken by Uddhava, one of Krishna's intimate devotees. And it says, just by wearing the garlands, you'll come to the perfection of life. Not a bad idea, right? So, where was I before I interrupted myself? There's a garland of verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's also compared to ambrosia. So when you have nectar, and then you put a tiny little bit of camphor, edible camphor that is, don't get the synthetic kind. You put a little camphor in it, it has this nature, turns into ambrosia, a drink that you can drink in it, and you think, you swoon. Have you ever had a drink where you swooned? You had a little sip, and then you, oh my God. I had that happen once. Sudhir Madhava Prabhu, he follows me around everywhere I go to make sure everything's perfect, and that he always makes sure I get Charanamrita. Even though if I'm negligent, I'll walk in somewhere like, a elephant bashing into stuff. And then when I come out, he'll have a little cup of Charanamrita, and I'll sit down. So I remember coming out of Prabhupada's Samadhi after leading a kirtan, and I was kind of in an electrified state. And so then he cornered me with some Charanamrita, and I sat down on the marble steps of the Samadhi. There's a lot of people around. It was a very crowded time, Kartik, and I took a little sip of that, and I swooned. I felt like I was suddenly just in a spiritual state just from sipping that. Akalimritaharanam sarva vyadi vinashanam vishnu parodakam vitva shirasataryamyaham. There's a verse that you can say when you take this Charnamrita. What is it? Charnamrita. Amrit means nectar, like the most tasty thing you've ever had. And Charna means the lotus feet. So when the deity is bathed, the water It's pure water and other ingredients like really milk and ghee and honey and things like that. They'll bathe the deity. We'll do that tomorrow, I think. And then the water glides down the beautiful form of the Lord. Sometimes a tulsi leaf will stick somewhere, and a flower. And it's like, oh my God, this is a transformative experience. And then all that's collected, and the pujari will then mix it together and put it out in a little container, like so over there. Put a spoon. So any temple of Krishna you go into, you'll find that it's called charnamrit. So then what you do is when you go in, you take a little bit in the palm of your hand and like that. And then, so the verse I said, by drinking this and putting on my head, that I transcend death. No more death. I'm gone. I'm in the spiritual world all of a sudden. So you'll swoon when you take something like that, because all the circumstances, the fact that it's a transcendental beverage and you take a little sip and gone, he's gone. So that's what the Kaviraj Goswami said, this is what that has been created here in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's Amrita. It's the mixture of pure nectar, and you put camphor in, you put it together. If you taste this, you'll swoon. And this is what we need to do. We don't need to be reminded of the paltry ways in which people have tried since time immemorial to enjoy the material world and failed miserably and become more and more entangled. This is the literature which is called A Pilgrimage for Crows. Crows, although I have great respect for crows, they're not well spoken of in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of the reasons is because they eat anything. And I'm not going to go into the definition of anything. I'll leave it to your imagination, but they're called omnivores, which means they'll eat anything. And anything means anything. So they live in dirty places. They like garbage dumps. They like filth. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. And so literature which doesn't describe the ultimate purpose of life, which keeps us enwrapped in the idea of enjoyment in the material world. Same thing. It's just recycled over and over again. Same old story, but you've heard it a million times. But now it's coming back with a different tune and a different key. So that's called Pilgrimage for Crows. But the literature which is sublime, which is describing your ultimate spiritual nature and relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's the place where the swans meet. And swans are a different creation altogether. They glide across the water and they're breathtakingly beautiful, except for their feet. Everyone's got some defect. It's like, hey, where'd you get those feet? Keep them in the water. And swans also have a characteristic, which is that they, out of a mixture of milk and water, they can extract just the milk. And I used to think that was mythical until Bhadranaran Swami said, no, I looked into it. I met a biologist at the University of Michigan, and I said, any truth to this? Is it possible? And he said, oh yeah. He said, actually, they have an enzyme in their beak. And when they drink milk and water together, I don't know how we know that it coagulates the milk, and they're able to take the milk and the water goes outside of the beak. And the implication of that is that a swan-like person can live in the world and extract the essence, take out what's important, not get entangled in all the tedious details that are not important and become distracted, but one takes the essence, knows what the essence of life is. So that's what's in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, just the essence. And also the ambrosia that's poetical. There's beautiful original verses written by Kaviraj Goswami at the beginning of every chapter. He also brings in the best of all poetry from the great disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and those are showcased there in the perfect way. as well as the verses we already know from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, where we read them and say, oh, that's where they go. That's how they're perfectly lined up. There's such a satisfaction, not only of the heart, but also the intellect in reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And if one reads it again and again, one will begin to notice that one is separating oneself from the material world and just taking the essence as one does one's duty in this world and does it expertly. One's not entangled because one's preoccupied with drinking the nectar of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that's the benefit of the book. It's a golden book. And some years ago, we had this desire that more people should have the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But it's not something that people have heard of that much, nor have they heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we said, well, let's just make it our business to present this book and see what people think. And we went door to door, and we would show people this 12 volumes of very beautiful golden books and tell them that it was about an incarnation of the Supreme called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Golden Avatar. And it has all the essential teachings of spiritual life and beautiful poetry from the pens of the greatest spiritual teachers. And lo and behold, people said, I want that. I would like to have that. And people from all walks of life, they said, I want the essence of all the spiritual teachings. And so more and more people started taking the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's been translated into many languages around the world so that other people in other countries can take it. And one of the ways that we've envisioned trying to help the world is to expand the distribution of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. What do you think of that idea? Not very much, huh? You think a little bit about it. I'm going to try one more time. All right, I got it. So it's an important book, and it's one of our, at least I could say, part of my mission in life is to establish the wide distribution of the Sri and reading and study of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Last year, at the end of last year, in Kartik times, very special time of year, you have permission to just call in sick. Isn't that nice? Yeah, no one can deny you on Kartik. You can just say, I'm gone. And so you can then your mind goes to like, well, what am I going to do? It's like, whatever you want. There's unlimited variety in the spiritual world. So when it comes to hearing, you can decide what you want to hear. Have you ever had that conundrum? And you say, what am I going to read next? Have you had that? It's a good conundrum to have. This is the kind of conundrums we should be having. And that is that, it's like, what do you want to hear for 30 days in a row without stopping for 5 hours a day? What would you like to hear? Do you have any idea what you'd answer right now? If you were given the opportunity to take 30 days off, to just spend 5 hours a day hearing from some transcendental literature, which would it be? What would you choose? Krishna? Supreme Personality of Godhead? Teaching Lord Chaitanya? Bhagavatam? Chaitanya Charitamrita? You can do whatever you want. I mean, that's the nice thing. We're independent spirit souls. We have minute independence. And when you use your minute independence to think, like, how am I going to lean into this really hard? Then, you're living life. That's life. So we decided, and it took me a lot of thought. It took me 3 months thinking, like, what are we going to read for Kartik? So we decided on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we decided we're going to read the Adi Leela. Can I see a copy of the Adi Leela Volume 1? It's a really small book. Let's see the first volume. It's tiny. It's so small. That's it? That's the whole first? It's a really light read. This is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela Volume 1, chapters 1 through 7. I was being facetious. It's actually very dense. And we read this. This is volume 1. There's volume 2 also. Could I have volume 2? I'm losing the effect here because everyone's going, I could do that. With my hands tied behind my back. Here's part 1 and part 2. Okay. Now what do you think? Yeah, so we read it, the whole thing through, and asked me how I felt after I heard it. I felt great. Yeah, life looked good. I felt good. And I thought when I read this book, everybody should read this. And I started thinking, like, I wish everybody could read this book. Because I was transformed just by reading these volumes. Actually, we finished early and we had time for a few more. But it's a highly recommended activity to read Krishna conscious Vaishnava literature. You can make it one of your mainstays in your life. I think that's the 3rd time I used that term today. And that becomes, it forms your consciousness. It informs your consciousness and it molds your consciousness so that you're thinking of Krishna all the time. This is the beauty of Vaishnava literature. Everyone wants to hear something beautiful. Everyone likes poetry, everyone likes imagery, everyone likes stories. It's all here in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it's intertwined with poetry, Sanskrit verses, and also the very practical teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Would you like an example? Yes. Okay, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had disciples, and they were very qualified people. As an example, 2 of his disciples called Rupa and Sanatan. And they had worked together, they were brothers, in the government. And one of them was the prime minister and the other was the chief financial director. And they were basically running the government. And they came from Vedic backgrounds, but at that time, the Muslim government was so widespread that they became syncretized into the Muslim culture for their livelihood. And then they had heard about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they had gone to meet him, and he empowered them. He changed their names to Rupa and Sanatan. They were called, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. You know, they took different names to fit in with the culture and so forth like that. And then, actually, Sanatan Goswami started this whole phenomena that you might be familiar with. It's called calling in sick. Have you ever done that? You can thank Sanatan Goswami because he called in sick. You know, he had his government job, and he said, I'm not feeling well, I can't come in. So after a couple of weeks, his employer sent a physician to his house and found out that he was sitting in his house reading Srimad Bhagavatam with a whole bunch of brahmanas. Hey, what kind of sickness you have? And his employer came and said, you got to go back to work. And he said, I don't think I can do that. I met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is what I'm going to do. And he said, I can't run the government without you. And so you either do your job or go to jail. Rupa Goswami, on the other hand, had been able to get out before Sanatan. He had left. It wasn't easy, though. It took him over a year just to close up, tie up loose ends and so forth to get out. It's not so easy just to leave what we're doing. But you don't have to. There's a way in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taught that stay in your position, whatever position you're in now, and add this hearing process. Hear from these books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course nowadays Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then you'll be successful. So one of the teachings that he gave to Sanatan Goswami after Sanatan, and it's a long story, escaped from jail and had met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was that there's 64 items of devotional service that you can practice daily. Would you like to do that? You have time for it, right? No, you don't have time for it. So then he said, there are 5 out of the 64 that are particularly potent. How potent are they? Go ahead and ask me. How potent are they? Yeah, now you're talking. So they're so potent, he said, that even if you don't have faith in them, but you have a little connection, alpa, just a small bit, then you'll be successful in your devotional service. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most encouraging news you've heard in a long time, and 1 being like you're ready to walk out of here. Where does that lie on the scale of 1 to 10? 11. I'm hearing 11 over here. Yeah, 11. As I said in the beginning, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very encouraging, right? And so are all these literatures. So he said, here's 5. If you do any of these 5, then you'll be successful. They're chanting Hare Krishna, worshiping the deity, as we're doing here. Just to come in and ring the bell, that's a form of deity worship. You know, there's a bell out there. You're supposed to ring it when you come in. And then there's Charnamrita. You can bow down. That's worship of the deity. Then there's living in a holy place. This is a holy place because Krishna's here. That makes it easy. Then there's hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and associating with devotees. So I named 5. Those are 5 very natural, simple things that anybody can do. And if you have a little connection to them, he said, you'll make advancement in spiritual life. Now, when you hear that, you can then start organizing your life. In fact, inside secret. Would you like to have? Yes. I guess secrets are kind of inside, but this whole community is founded on that principle. Everybody works here. Everybody has some job, except for Ramananda Saka, who stays here full time. And I think, so this is the principle that we have a little time every week to come in and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Check. Chant Hare Krishna? Yes. Check. Worship the deity? Yes. Live in a holy place? Yes. Associate with devotees? Yes. That's 5. A little bit's okay, he says, even a small bit. And even if you don't have complete faith in them or any faith, if you stay connected with these 5, he said, you'll have complete success in devotional service. So that's 11 on this scale of encouragement. It's past 10. That's a lot. So these and other teachings pervade the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's a golden book like this. It's very beautiful. 12 volumes like that. They fit on your bookshelf. We have an iconic picture. The first days we went out, Shraddha Devi Dasi, the intrepid Shraddha Devi Dasi, willing to do anything for Krishna, went door to door to sell Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and she met a young man from Morocco. And he was a very upright and nice person and a devout Muslim. But when he saw the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said, I'll take it. And we have the photograph of him putting it on his bookshelf, and it's there today in that young Moroccan man's house for him to go through and drink ambrosia. So it's one of our goals during the Sri Chaitanya festival, this Gaur Purnima, to increase the readership and the distribution of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. What do you think? Malini, what do you think? I'm just see if this resonates with Malini. She's the co-Sankirtan director for ISV. What is your opinion of this? Is it okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, we definitely should do it because I think
it means what?
We should definitely distribute a lot of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita.
How much are they?
They're just $99.
$99, comma, only.
Only.
Okay, can you get a salad here in Silicon Valley for $99? If you go to a fancy schmancy restaurant, I don't know, I haven't been to one since Hector was a pup. But can you get a salad for $99 here? Does that come with dressing? I don't know. Okay, so only $99. And do you have any?
We got a whole pallet last week, just in case.
Okay, let me see one. Somebody bring me a box, please. Kautik, he knows his way around the book room. Now here's a person who knows the way around the book room. Who wants one? What is your name?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, this is Sneha.
Hare
Sneha would like a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Write it down. Write that down because it goes in Krishna's book. He also writes it down. Sneha, one set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And sorry, whoever we woke up back there. Just because I woke you up, I'll give you. Who's that? Who is that child back there? What's his name? Madhav. I would like to give Madhav, from my heart, for waking you up, Madhav. I'm going to give you a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm going to pay for. That's my gift to you. Is he fully appeased? Does he forgive me for waking him up now? He looks happy. He's okay. He's a Vaishnava. Okay, so you can either take one for yourself or you can give one to somebody else. It's only $99, so you feel free. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like. It comes in a case like this. This has been shipped across the world. We have it printed and brought here. And it comes, there's 12 in a set, right, Malini? 9 only. Okay, so there's 9 in a set because these are a little condensed into volumes for convenience sake. And let's see if I can even lift this. If I can lift this box and hold it myself, then everyone in here has to take one. Is that okay? Or do you want me to do anything else to make it okay? No, I don't need the table. Okay, let's see. Can I handle this? How long do I have to hold it for? Okay, now I'll take the table. Okay, everyone has to take one. Just raise your hand if you'd like to take a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can either donate it to someone else. Okay, Sneha is on the list. Yes?
Snehal, one set of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Brava. Oh, now this is a nice idea. Kennedy is sitting behind that painting back there of Krishna, and she's a bright star in Krishna consciousness, I must say. Krishna sent her, and she's very involved with Bhakti community. She's one of the facilitators there, and very adept at Krishna consciousness. And Pavani Bhakti has just bequeathed a full set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to our dear Kennedy, who brings us great joy. Well done. Well done. Okay. Look at Srivas Pandit. Now he's the leader of our Bhakti Shastri. He's a great Pandit. Pandit means a great learned scholar. And he teaches Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in private sessions only. But what have you to say today, Prabhu? He's sponsoring 2 sets. Okay. Haribol. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, we're getting stereo here. Okay, you call out everybody's names who's doing.
Okay, Mayapur Prabhu would like 5 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Haribol.
Radha Vallabh Prabhu, please go ahead.
1 set from my side.
Haribol.
10 sets. I want sponsor 10 sets.
Oh my goodness.
Pankaj
Prabhu,
Pankaj
10
Prabhu,
sets
10
of Sri
sets.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Achyuta Kumar Prabhu, 10 sets for Achyuta Kumar Prabhu.
Achyuta Kumar Prabhu, 10 sets. Hare Krishna.
Balmukunda Prabhu, I think Keshava. 1 set for Keshava.
Haribol.
Achyuta Kumar Prabhu is 10 sets. Yeah. Pankaj Prabhu 10 sets, Achyuta Kumar Prabhu 10 sets, and Yashoda Kripa Prabhu 1 set. Ashok Narang Prabhu 10 sets.
Haribol.
Harikatha Mataji 5 sets.
Haribol.
Haribol. Shamarupa Prabhu.
My sister Madhurima, she is sponsoring 10 sets.
Haribol! Oh,
Back row.
Ekachakra Pran Prabhu, 3 sets.
Haribol!
Sundar Prabhu. Sundar.
For Chuck. Haribol!
Haribol! So Sundar Prabhu sponsoring one for Chuck. Sundarananda Prabhu.
Sundar Prabhu, 1 set.
Yes, Han. What's your name?
You're missing in the back row.
Lakshmi? Okay, Lakshmi. Two sets.
Haribol!
Swarna Gopika Mataji.
So my friends from Mountain House, they're visiting temple for the first time. Smita and Momita. I want to sponsor for both of them.
Haribol!
Ananda Brindavan. Okay, Ananda is sponsoring one for Shirley.
Haribol!
Thank you. You can also text at 408-515-5292. 408-515-5292.
Our operators are standing out by to take your calls 24 hours a day. I'd like to sponsor one for Megan.
Haribo! Vaisesika Prabhu sponsor from Maggie. Balimardhan Prabhu.
Haribol!
Haribo! So Balimardhan Prabhu sponsoring for Balaram's friend, 2 sets. You want one? Okay, Balaram wants 1 set.
Haribol!
Hope the parents are aware. We are happy to put 0 behind it. Yes, Santosh Prabhu. 1 set. Prabhu, you did 1. So 11 or 1? 1. 1. 1 set. 11 set Namsmarans Prabhu.
Haribol!
I got a text from Rohini that she would like to sponsor 1 set of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Haribol!
Shashi Shekhar Prabhu sponsoring 2 sets from Ramachandra for all the babies under 2 years old from Kana class.
Haribol!
2 sets. Thank you, Shashi Shekhar Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. 2 sets for you.
Bhakta William.
Bhakta William, thank you. Sundarananda Prabhu, round 2. 1 set for
Vlad.
Vlad.
Haribol!
Haribo. Yes, Srivas Chandra Prabhu.
Oh.
Hare Krishna. 1 Srivas Chandra Prabhu for Rishabh.
Is this PhD in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita?
A message from Vinay Prabhu. He's still typing, so.
He's still typing. Let him keep typing. Okay. He's trying to put in as many zeros as possible. It's going to take a while.
Preeti would like to sponsor 1 set.
Haribol!
Okay. So Vinay Prabhu wants 2 sets.
Haribol!
1 set from Subhadra, all the way from Southern California.
Oh, no, she's in Hawaii. It was Subhadra?
Yeah.
She's in Hawaii.
Oh, she's in Hawaii.
All the way in Hawaii.
See,
Haribol!
you sponsor the set, you can transfer to Hawaii.
This is a message from Priya Kishori. She wants to sponsor 1 set on behalf of her Appa and Amma.
Haribol!
Haribo. Yes, Prabhu.
Harish.
Harish Prabhu, 2 sets.
Haribol! Well done, Harish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Just in case you didn't get the number previously, the number to text is 408-515-5292.
Say it again.
408-515-5292.
Operators are standing by to take your calls 24/7.
Yeah, put it on the screen.
Okay.
Anupama Das Prabhu, 1 set of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Haribol! He just texted? He texted in?
He's texted in.
Thank you, Anupam Prabhu.
Zoom, on Zoom.
On the Zoom.
He's on Zoom, okay.
Dheera
Haribol,
Prashant
Dheera
Prabhu,
Prashant.
2 sets.
Haribol.
Okay, correction. It was not Prekishore sponsoring for her mom and dad. It's actually Sundar Prabhu is sponsoring for Gandharvika Mataji.
Haribol.
Kamal Shri sponsoring 2 sets. Kamal Shri and Ramrati Prabhu. Haribol. I miss Radhakripa Prabhu dearly.
Well, it's quite amazing. When you go to Vrindavan, you can visit the place of Kaviraj Goswami where he wrote the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a very sacred place at Radhakund, which is, as you know, all of you, because you've read the Upadeshamrita, and the pinnacle of all the holy places is the Sri Sri Radhakund, and he stayed there and wrote this book in Sri Sri Radhakund, did Kaviraj Goswami. So in that enlightened atmosphere. But we can also note that when books were written 500 years ago, there were no typewriters. Did you know that? Did you know there was also no Apple computers 500 years ago? Yeah, there were no, now I don't want to get shocking here, but no smartphones. Oh. They wrote everything on palm leaves by hand. And they had a stylus. You can see the stylus. I have one at home. It's a metal implement by which you press onto the palm leaf. And then after you've written everything by pressing, you put the palm leaves in the sun, and the parts that were pressed, they change color, and that's what makes the text. So this is how the writing took place at those times. So it's quite a miracle that we have these books available. It's not an ordinary thing. This is a window of opportunity in history through which we can actually expand the distribution of transcendental knowledge through books. You want more history? No. You want to take more sponsors?
Pankaj Prabhu. Haribol! Did you wake him up? Radhakripa Prabhu, 5 sets. We have Abhijit Prabhu all the way from the ISKCON kitchen. 4 sets of CC.
That's a long way. Haribol. Way to go, Abhijit.
This is a message from Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Das, Madhurya Leela Devi Dasi, and Ranga Devi, their baby daughter. They want to sponsor 1 set of Chaitanya.
Haribol. Way to go. Nicely done. Sadhu, sadhu.
And this is 1 set of Chaitanya Charitamrita for Viral Sangani. Oh, you're the one who just texted. Okay.
So was that the one you just called out?
Yes,
So we
Prabhu.
clapped sufficiently?
Yes.
We'll do it again. Okay, we're counting down the seconds now. We're coming to the end of this opportunity.
Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu. 1 for Rahul and 1 for Shashank.
Haribol! Rahul Shashank ki jai. Are you all thinking of a shelf to put your books on? A place they'll go? That's a good first step. Take them out of the box, put them on the shelf, and then you take it down, start reading. It'll change your life. Haribo, 20 sets from Shraddha Devi Dasi.
Haribol. Shraddha Devi Dasi, 20 sets. Then we have Ananga Sundari here, 5 sets.
Haribo!
And she would like to sponsor. So if you want to see her afterwards, you can take your set from her. Ananga Sundari, 5.
I just wanted to clarify, Shraddha Maji, it's 20 sets for Western Sankirtan? Jai!
I mean, how long would it take to copy the Chaitanya Charitamrita by hand and to get 20 sets? So I'm just saying, it's an amazing opportunity in this point of time to be able to actually claim that I have a full set of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Unusual.
Prabhu, would like to share something from yesterday.
Please.
We went door to door and we met Mitch. He works for Google. Did he contact you? Yeah.
Mitch.
Anyway, when we went and we gave the book Bhagavad Gita, the stack, the Trimurti set, and then we were trying to explain to him, and then we told about Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we said we are not selling them. He was saying, he was listening, he was very enthusiastic, but at the end he was saying, so what's the catch? And we told him that there is no catch, but then it was so hard for him to believe. And in the end we said, you can have all of these books, and he said, nothing in return? What is a transaction here? And we said, there is no transaction because we just want to give. He could not believe it. He said that he would donate through the Google funds, but I would like to sponsor one for Mitch so that it is actually no catch.
For all of those, for all of you who are recently coming to ISV or have come here for the first time, this way of presenting books and doing kind of fundraising, we do this occasionally throughout the year. You just happen to come here on the day that we're doing it because tomorrow is a big festival day. We'll be here in the morning time and the evening time. There'll be devotees here all day. Actually, we'll decorate the whole temple and we'll have a grand festival. It's around these times that we like to expand our outreach because one of the purposes of our center here is to distribute literature. Because once books go out into human society, they inculcate a particular ideal or value system that goes deeply within the society. It's a very effective way, you can see through history, that ideologies have been implanted in human society. In fact, books themselves are a delivery system, and inside are idea seeds. And once they're planted, they begin to grow and they make an effect on the world. So we are on a campaign to stamp out spiritual poverty. We don't like to see people starving spiritually, and the best way is to distribute knowledge. So that's why we're doing this. It's part of our charter. It's part of what we do here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. And we're running short of time, aren't we? It's time for next,
Koladvipa Prana Prabhu, 5 sets.
Okay. So that means we only have like 1 or 2 minutes left. We'll just have to count down and then we'll stop. Krishna 10, Krishna 9, Krishna 8, Krishna 7, Krishna 6. It's over when I get to 0. Krishna 5, Krishna 4, Krishna 3.
Saurav Prabhu in the back.
2.
2 sets, Saurav Prabhu.
Haribo! Krishna 1, Krishna point 5, Krishna point 125, Krishna point...
Pankaj Prabhu. You're making your brother proud, you know. Pankaj Prabhu, 5 sets.
Krishna point 00125, Krishna point...
Govind Charan Prabhu. 25 sets for Govind Charan Prabhu and Rasika. Haribo!
Krishna point 0000.
10 sets from Sukhada Gauranga Prabhu.
Haribo! Really, we're running out of time. We have to start the Arctic.
For India.
Haribo! Krishna point...
Kautakarna Prabhu. Haribo! That's a love. 25 sets for Jai Madhava Prabhu and Pavini Bhakti from Kautukarna Prabhu. Haribo!
15
That's amazing
seconds
gift.
left, 14 seconds left, 13
Prabhu, there's a
left.
few more. So this is Rampriya Prabhu. He wants to sponsor 2 sets. This is from Samskriti and Gopika.
12 seconds left.
And this is again from Vinay Prabhu and Shilpa Mataji. 2 more sets for Garland team from Shilpa Mataji.
11 seconds left. 10 seconds left.
Okay. Viral Singhani wants to sponsor 2 sets.
Haribol! 9 seconds left. 8 seconds left. 7 seconds left. 6.
This is Palika Mataji wants to sponsor 2 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Where was I? 5 seconds left. 4 seconds left. You have to start the artik.
Oh, this is
3
Yashoda
seconds
Priya Mataji and Achyuta Balaram Prabhu. Oh, they want to sponsor 21 sets for His Grace Vaisesika Maharaj and Nirakula Mataji.
Arriba! I think I saw her. They're in here, right? Yeah, right there. She's so shy. Thank you.
3
Thank you
seconds
so much.
left. 2 seconds. These are seconds of
Madhav Govind Prabhu. You said Madhav Govind Prabhu and Palika.
1 second left.
Krishna Katha Prabhu.
Two
You
sets.
said.
Remember Mars Katvanga.
Ramapriya Prabhu.
No, Rohini.
9 sets. Haribo. Yes. Vishwambar. Gauranga. Yes. Gauranga. 2 sets Gauranga. Yes. Chamrupa Prabhu.
4 sets.
4 sets. Haribo. Shamarupa Prabhu. 4 sets.
I'm on 1 second. I only got one place to go.
5. Madhav Prema Prabhu. 5 sets.
Tadiya Seva Prabhu 1 set.
Haribo!
On behalf of his son and daughter.
I'm on 1 second. What should I do, Hansapriya?
I want to see who is here for the first time. Who made it here for the first time? Okay. Hare Krishna. We have a gift for you, and we can show you what it is. It's a CC set, so on the way out, you can take, and that would be from me.
Haribo!
Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, plus come see us. And bring your friends if they want a gift. Tomorrow, bring them here.
Prabhu, you're here for the first time or you want to sponsor, Prabhu? You're here for the first time.
Here for the
Okay,
first
so,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
She's the patron saint for all the newcomers.
How many are new people?
Let's see, that's 21, 22. There's quite a few more now.
Bring more tomorrow. Okay. I see 1, 2, 3,
Hanging
4.
on the cliff of 1
4.
second.
4. Okay. Shriji Priya wants to also sponsor for the newcomers. So please see her also. You have a choice. Okay, Shriji Priya, you want to sponsor 1 set, right? Thank you.
Pankaj
Yes, Pankaj Prabhu. Radha Kripa Prabhu, 5 sets. If you want to blame anyone to go program later, you can blame Radha Kripa Prabhu, but we love him dearly.
Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in this very practical way to expand the Krishna consciousness movement, especially on the cusp of Gaura Purnima, which will be tomorrow. We'll have a grand festival starting at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow here at the temple. We'll have Mangala Artik. That will proceed until 10 a.m. in the morning. Devotees will go to do various duties, and we'll reconvene here in the evening at 5 for Abhishek and Kirtan and chanting, dancing, Katha about Gauranga Mahaprabhu and his appearance, and a grand feast that will be served around 7:30 p.m. And now, in the next part of our program, we're going to have our Artik ceremony. So we'll put away all the seats in an organized way, and then we'll stand up in front of the deities, and then we'll have a some chanting, dancing, and just after this, we'll be serving prasadam in the picnic area, unless there's a monsoon rain that comes. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating and for coming. Gaur Premanande Haribo.
Prabhu, there is one announcement. Can we add?
Oh, one last announcement.
So this is a message from Deva Prasanna Prabhu. He would like to sponsor 51 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
What?
So is it working? Excuse me. It's on.
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Shunyavadi Paschakta Deshakarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vrivraj Gajaj Stodra Shri Shrimad Vai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vrivraj Gajaj Stodra Shri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasri Gaur Bhakti Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Sri Mayapuram Deeptam Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Jumna Devi, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. to sing?
Yes.
Okay.
Narasimha prayers, right?
Yeah. Keep it short.
Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pramadala Kadahine. Hiranyakashi Purakshava.
Hare Krishna. Just before the announcement that Hanspriya Mataji is going to make, our devotee Nagar Kirtan Prabhu has lost his phone. His phone is in the green case. He has to leave now. If you have seen the case or the phone, it was left outside on the bench near the prasadam table. So please get back to me or Nagar Kirtan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. It's a green case, iPhone, green case. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Are you all ready for tomorrow? Especially after hearing such a wonderful katha, Prabhu has planted the seed in you, right? So we will see you at what time? 4:30 a.m. Everybody's coming, right? Haribo! So thank you, dear Vaisesika Prabhu, for leading a wonderful kirtan and amazing lecture and planting the seed and setting up the mood for tomorrow. And we thank also the kirtanier, Lil Madhav, as well. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Tomorrow we begin at 4:30 a.m. and the email has been sent out. If you don't know, Sri Gopal Prabhu would have a table outside, so you could actually connect with him also. Sri Gopal Prabhu, are you still around? You can raise your hand if he's there. So you can ask him. Also, there are devotees in the parking lot with the book table, so you can collect your CC sets and also ask him any questions if you have regarding tomorrow's program, okay? What I wanted to also mention that we have a plenty of service opportunity for everyone. So if you are inspired by today's lecture, today's talk, please stay back and get engaged in the beautiful service opportunity that includes everyone. You can come you can come in for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever you can pitch in, right? It's a collective effort, so there is a variety of services. There is a garland making for the temple hall decorations. There is a chopping vegetables. We are cleaning the pots and pans. So you can come and join in be a part of this service opportunity. We also have the book packing happening same time. So if you have a kids and you think you don't want to work around the needles and the scissors and the knives and stuff, so you can actually help putting the labels on the books. So everyone can get engaged, okay? We also wanted to thank today's sponsor. Is Snehal here? Did you sponsor last week? Also, they wanted to sponsor this week too. Okay, you're welcome. We'll announce your name tomorrow as well. Thank you very much, Snehal, for sponsoring for today's sweets and tomorrow's sweets. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Also, tomorrow, if you are working and you're far away, you cannot make it, please, we'll see you at 5 p.m. But other than that, I don't want to keep you away from your prasadam. And let's go into the prasadam. And if anything we can do, please do not hesitate. Shreya. Oh, yes. Is Shreya around? Shreya, come on up, Shreya. Okay, thank you. Shreya just wants a blessing. And I think Shreya's father is who is sponsoring, and if I recall correctly, he just loved the ISV community. And let me take a moment to brag about us. You know, ISV is a place where you can be accommodated, you can be engaged, you can have lots of service opportunity, and that allows you to do a lot of outreach activities where kids, adults, seniors, everyone is accommodated. So this is a beautiful place, and if you wanted to see that what we are, you can hang around later today or every Sunday, every weekly we have programs. We have also broadcast online. So join us for the wonderful programs. Thank you, Shreya. Please do tell your father we are very grateful. Hare Krishna. Prasadam prayers. Or did you want to say anything, Prabhu, for inviting tomorrow? Or?
Please come tomorrow. Having festival time together is greatly advantageous for lifting the consciousness above all the troubles of the world. It is my favorite aspect of Krishna consciousness to have festival days, and it starts tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. It's a very little opportunity these days people have to come to Mangalartik, so please come tomorrow. It's very special, and come in the evening also for Abhishek. Hansapriya, how was that? That worked for everybody? Okay. This next prayer is in Bengali. It's written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great saints and acharyas. And mentions in this prayer before honoring prasadam or food stuff offered to Krishna, and therefore blessed. It's of the same transcendental caliber as the holy name, the holy dham. And he says that it's very difficult to control the tongue. The tongue actually draws us into the world. People get addicted to eating certain things, and it pulls their consciousness down lower and lower. But he says that Krishna is so kind that he's given us a way to elevate ourselves by the tongue, by taking prasadam. So it's a glorification of Krishna and appreciation, calling out for his help and saying how grateful we are for prasadam. Sharira Diksha, sorry. Jodendriya Tahika, Jime Kele, Vishaya Sakare, Dharma Diti Parati, Loba Mursi Purnati, Take Jita Katita Samsare, Krishna Borodoyamoy, Kori Bale Chiwajai, Shaprasad, Anna Dilo Bahai, Shayana Mitapao, Radha Krishna Gunagao, Preme Dato, Shri Chaitanya Nihikai, Preme Dato, Shri Chaitanya Nihikai, Mahaprasade Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, Sapa Punya Padam Rajan, Vishwa Chonata Jayake, Prasade Sarva Tichana, Aniyasya Bhajayate, Prasana Chaita Suryashu, Vipaya Padista Chaitaya Bhuta Swagnanda, Vasavantar Chashitaha Utishta Bhogino Dasa, Davamayam Jaimahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad Ki, Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam. If you go right out this door and take a sharp right and go straight ahead, you'll come to the picnic area and prasadam will be served there today. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. We'll see you tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari Bo.